Welcome to Glam Chemist.
Welcome back to the Glam Chemist. We have a new guest with us today. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi everyone, I'm Julieta Bursztyn. A lot of people know me by Juli. Some people know me by Juli in the US. Those are my social media handles. I love to create content to promote science and make science more accessible and show the beauty of science and the beauty industry itself. I'm very passionate about sharing my knowledge and showing that the beauty industry is part of science too. Excited to be here.
That's such a great approach, and honestly, the way that you're making it look like fun too online and you're making it look accessible is really interesting to see, because some people don't really show us the behind the scenes and the lab part of developing a formula. So anyone who doesn't know, feel free to follow her and check out her content. I honestly think that you're making science look really cool.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about how you started in STEM, like what brought you into science in the first place.
So initially, I was on my pre-med mentality. I came to the US. I'm from Argentina. So I was born in Buenos Aires and I've always been a dreamer. And I was like, okay, I want to study abroad. But yeah, I was pre-med, but I was very into the dermatological side of pre-med because I was very passionate about skincare and taking care of the largest organ that we have, which is the skin. But I think what I always wanted to be was a scientist. I just didn't have the vocabulary of what a scientist was, but I was like, that's what I wanted all the way through. I'm so glad I was able to have the opportunity to study in the United States because I feel like the educational system here allowed me to explore my interests. At home, if I studied medicine over there, I would have just started in medical school 7 years and I would have been done. I don't know if I would have been allowed that flexibility to just like try different things out. And I think that's what I was like allowed here because of all of the requirements. I went to a liberal arts school, small school in Pennsylvania, Dickinson College. Shout out to my school. And I studied biochemistry and molecular biology and dance, two completely different majors.
I love that. I feel like everyone, I keep saying this in every episode, but the theater kid to STEM, like I feel like everyone who was in theater when they were younger is somehow in science. It's such a weird parallel, but we all do it. I love that.
I think you definitely need the artsy to be in STEM. I don't know. There is like those words collide a lot. There's a lot of art in the sciences and you see it all the time. I mean, it's truly beautiful. You know, like you watch in the microscope and like what you're seeing, the slides, it's beautiful. You know, so yeah, I think yeah, there's a lot of overlap in different ways, and scientists do have to think outside of the box all the time. So having a creative brain, it's always an asset. But yeah, luckily I was able to get into a research lab, and I think that's where my career path changed completely. I had an amazing PI. He was my first mentor like that. He took me to different conferences where I was able to present my research, so I was able to learn how to talk science and also learn how to communicate science through like posters, and like that's where the creativity comes in too. And all the people that I was getting feedback from, they were like, I hope you get your PhD. So I was like, maybe pre-med is not what I originally was like envisioning for myself. So yeah, that was a conversation I had with my parents. And when I told them I wanted to be a scientist, especially a cosmetic chemist, because those words, I don't know, suddenly appeared in my brain, because I thought there has to be someone out there that is making the products we all love, the skincare, the hair care products. They were like, what is that?
Yeah, I think they still ask what that is.
I think a lot of
Yeah.
people don't know what that is. That's also why I create content, so people know who is behind all those products that we use. So I also didn't know how to get into the industry. That's also something that is very shush. It's hard
Yeah.
to get into the industry. But luckily, again, I went to a very small school. Our student to faculty ratio, I think, is like 9 to 1. Like classes are very small. So I was able to connect to an alum that is now my boss. And that's how I got an internship that then turned into like a full-time offer.
So, how did you learn how to do cosmetic science through your program, or was it just once you entered the industry, you were just figuring it out?
So I got a lot of experience. Well, the all the basics I got through my biochem degree. So all my, I'm gonna say down and dirty, lab skills. I did 2 years of a traditional academia lab. It was more protein engineering research. And what was very cool about that was that it had a biology side and a chemistry side of the lab. So I got to work in both of those sides and learned the more like very technical and very transferable lab skills that then I was able to use in my internship that I had my junior year in this cosmetic lab that I interned in. So in that internship, I started learning about the beauty industry and how a beauty lab works. So I was used to not being able to touch anything in the lab. Extreme PPE, like organic, like if you touch something, it's probably a cancer agent. And then in beauty, you're encouraged to taste, try, even like, okay, put it in your face to see if like you like the viscosity, if it needs more playtime. So yeah, it was definitely it was the best summer of my life, let me tell you. It was quite the transition from one lab to another. But I think the good thing about having like a good foundation with science, and that's why also I think, especially here in the US, is like going into beauty is kind of like that create your own adventure because there's no undergrad cosmetic science degree right now. You can study like chemistry, engineering, you can do biochem, you can do so many things to get into beauty. We all come from different backgrounds, we all have different skill sets, but we can all adjust and adapt to that kind of lab. So in this year that I like, because I'm turning almost a year in the beauty industry now, I've learned so much and I'm still learning and I still have a long way to go. And the way that I've been learning is hands-on experience, but also like certifications. Like I'm doing like courses, and I'm reading books. I'm like I love to read. Like I'm a big nerd, so I whenever I can go back to the books, I love to go back to the books. But you learn a lot by doing, honestly. And I have a great mentor right now, which is my boss. So grateful to have people that are very generous to share their knowledge. That's always important.
Yeah, I realize that once you're in this industry, people are very eager to teach, very eager to share information. Because it is such a small industry, we tend to cross paths pretty often. So once you do find someone that you mesh with, you tend to find ways to find each other, whether it's at trade shows or events or lectures. You always end up bumping into someone that you've crossed paths with and potentially learned from or worked with sometimes, when you jump from job to job. What kind of resources would you recommend for folks, given that you've found some courses and some things that you like? What would you recommend for someone who's maybe looking to get into cosmetic science?
So the Society of Cosmetic Chemists has like a lot of resources. I think they have a lot of student resources. Like if you're a student, there's like a special kind of student login that you can go into, and they have like videos, they have like different like tutorials, and like they have plenty of resources in there. Also, everyone that I talked to in the industry, they all guide me to the same book, Discovering Cosmetic Science. I think that's what it's called. And that one is very, I'm not gonna say basic, but it's very introductory, and is good because I feel like everyone that is like in STEM is gonna recognize a lot of things in that book, and it's like a good transition into like cosmetic science if you're getting into it. And it touches like on different things. And personally, I want to learn more about color. Is that one category? Like we do a lot of categories in my company and that I work in, but color, I'm trying to personally like get more into because it's fun and I like it.
Yeah.
So that's the one I was recommended. I also did this one certification from Olay in Coursera. Those are good too. And also
Yeah, I
like
started those. Those are really
very
helpful.
flexible. Yeah, very flexible
Yeah.
with the times. Like very doable too with like other things in your life. Like definitely recommend those. And those are like all things that you can just like, add up to like your toolbox. Always helps. I definitely recommend internships. Because if you can be with someone that can teach you and like take you under their wing and like help you out, that's amazing. Even if it's like, and if it's like a 3 month 2 month internship, that's ideal. But if they don't have offerings, you can even say, how about 10 days? Like it can be a shorter experience. You can still benefit from like a shorter experience. I think anything counts, because we get like interns that like come from like, oh, like some interns kind of do the whole like term. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I think internships are probably the best bet. And I now the Society of Cosmetic Chemists has so many resources for young chemists, like the Young Chemist program and different things available to people who are interested and in school and deciding what to do with cosmetic science. I think it's helpful to know that you can learn a lot of this on your own, because there isn't necessarily, I mean, there's a lot of programs now for graduate students for cosmetic science. That wasn't always the case. Like when I was in school, there was probably one program that was available. Now there's at least like five or six. So you can definitely start, like you said, in a path that's like more STEM related: chemistry, biology, analytical chemistry, all of those things. And there's applicable, everything is applicable to what we do in cosmetic science. So it's like you can definitely play with that a little bit if you're interested. So to listeners, all those resources are, a lot of them are free. Another one is Chemist Corner by Perry Romanowski. That's where I started. Those are all free and available to you. So definitely look into them if you're interested. Or I would also suggest joining the society and reaching out to people. Networking is a big thing. I got a lot of my opportunities early on just from networking. So definitely look into that. I know that there's resources for internships too through NYSCC, so definitely look into that. So you said you're 1 year in, so you've been in this world for a whole year. How have you been navigating getting into this field, transitioning to a full-time job? What are you thinking now as far as like, are you going to go to graduate school? Like, you know what I mean? What are you thinking of doing with it now?
That's a great question that I'm still like asking myself. So I love to study, and I know I definitely want another degree. So I would love to go to graduate school. I think I would like a specific degree in like cosmetic science. So that's what I'm looking more into, just because I would like to be like, yeah, not only I'm a biochemist, I'm a molecular biologist, also like I'm a cosmetic science, like chemist by the paper,
Yeah,
you know?
you're qualified. Yeah.
But just like for, it's for more for my brain, you know. And because I love to learn by doing, but also by reading. I don't know, during college I started with chronic migraines, and I've been having chronic migraines for 3 years. So I think a must before I go back to school is to at least be as migraine free as I can. For now, I'm gonna like keep learning by doing and healing and taking like care of my health. But this transition, honestly, to working by doing my passion doesn't feel like a work, like a job, which is amazing. And that's why I encourage to follow your passion, and not like in a cliche way, but like don't be scared to try different things out and to figure out what you like and what you don't. And if you are somewhere and you realize, like, even though you put a lot of effort in that like path, if you realize that's not the path, don't be scared to pivot. You know, I was pre-med and I put so many hours into that, and I started prepping my MCAT, and then I was like, I really enjoyed I love studying so much, I enjoy my degree so much. Why do I feel like I'm checking all these boxes and it just feels like a checklist? I don't enjoy my degree anymore. I don't want it to be like this. Like, you actually have a saying in your life, you can change direction. And I think after that, for me, it was just, yeah, it was very stressful, of course. It wasn't like, oh, like I just like switched path like swiftly. No, it was like crisis moment for me junior year. I think a lot of us, junior years, like hard times. But after that, everything just kind of aligned, and I've been doing great, honestly, because I think it was the right choice. I just followed what I was actually interested in doing, or at least I gave my chance to see if that's what I really wanted to do. So yeah, I think something that I'm working on is I get like, I want to know stuff. I feel like I don't know enough. And yeah, of course, I'm not going to know enough, you know, I'm getting started. So that's part of it.
But you're eager and you're excited and you're like really into it. I think when I first started out, it was definitely fun because it's a playful industry. You get to touch and feel and experience. And like you said, there's a lot of art and creativity attached to what we do. There's a lot of analytical things where you have to think of how to make things come into fruition, but a lot of it is just playing. And I feel like that goes back to when we were little, playing with our mother's makeup. It just allows us to do the same thing. I love how passionate you are about the industry. It's nice to hear, because I've been in the industry for now 11 years on and off. If I'm honest, I haven't been like in it. Right now, I'm not in it, but it's exciting at the beginning, and it's really fun when you start to network and you start to experience trade shows and different things and like play with new ingredients and see the innovation and all that stuff. Definitely fun at the beginning. What would you say was like the hardest hurdle when you were thinking about what to do? Because a lot of people that we know, or a lot of listeners, are in that transition phase, in that pivoting age where, you kind of have to make a decision as an adult, but you may want to pivot.
I think I had like a plan and I had an idea set for so long that I guess it was just like the crumbling of that and just the feeling of like starting over and building something like a new path. That was scary for sure, but also kind of exciting.
Yeah.
But it felt like there was a clock ticking. I'm an international student, so the truth is there is a clock for us once you graduate. So it was stressful in that way. It was also my last summer before I graduated. So I was like, whatever decision I make needs to count in some way. And it was also stressful because I applied to different internships, like different opportunities, and I got rejected from all of them. And I was like, great.
Yeah.
I'm a hard worker. Like, if I have to tell you something about me, I worked every single summer I was in college. Like my freshman, my sophomore, and there I was, my junior summer, and I had like nothing. And I was like, am I going home for this summer? Am I just okay? I'm spending time with my family, which is amazing, but it's like such an important summer for me. And I just got like, I thought, I don't know, I got so
Could be
much
doing
experience.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought like my resume would have been like better by now. And I was so disappointed. And I also think I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. And I got 3 rejections and I was still looking. It was like very last minute. And then I had very last minute 3 opportunities, 3 choices. So one of them was a lab in Argentina. It was like organometallics. Something new. I never did inorganic chemistry. So it was something different. Then I had a cancer research lab in my college, which was also exciting because like I really wanted to do cancer research at some point, but I was also past my pre-med era. So it was like it came to me, but not in the right time. So I was like, I don't know. And that was also like kind of playing it safe, which I could have taken it, but I don't know.
That's not the Sagittarius way.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say I'm sad for that. And then I don't know. It was just I was not feeling it that much. And then I had an option to go all across the country to California, like from Pennsylvania to California, to this lab from a guy that I didn't know who was an alum from my college that asked me if I wanted to just go to his lab for the whole summer to try out what the cosmetic industry was about. And I talked to
That's
my
so
mentor
cool.
at the time about it. And it was scary, honestly, but he was very nice about it. He talked to my family beforehand to be like, okay, like I'm legit, like just so you get to know me, everything is fine. My college has this internship fund program, which they covered like my flight. They funded like me being able to go there, so they made it possible to. And I'm so glad I just took the risk and it worked out. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but also that's like life. But yeah, I'm telling you, it was an amazing summer. I worked on a lot of projects. I started a lot of projects that then when I came back to work full time, I was able to finish because in the beauty industry, as you might know, a lot of projects take like 18 months to like from the beginning to end. So I started a lot of projects, or I came in to watch a lot of projects begin. And when I went back, I saw them like go into market, which was like amazing.
That's the best part, when you get to finally see the finished product. That's the most rewarding part. That's so cool.
Yeah, so definitely learning a lot. And yeah, it's very fun to work in this industry, and all kind of personalities, all kind of people I'm meeting. Yeah.
What made you decide to start posting about it and sharing like what you're working on?
So this is like actually funny. I started posting on social media because when I was applying for college, I had this little blog when I was applying for college. It was like the SAT blogs, and it was more for myself, like as a coping mechanism, because it was so stressful for me that it was like this day-to-day videos of me studying and me being like stressed, just telling the camera I was like, I'm going through it, you know? Because also when I was applying for college, I didn't tell no one. I didn't tell my friends. Like I didn't tell no one because I was like, I don't know, I'm also like, I'm like a Bridget Mendler kind of person. I work in silence and I show up with like everything, you
Yeah.
know, and
No,
bam.
I relate to that a lot. I didn't tell anyone where I was going to school.
Yeah, actually, like officially started posting 2021 when I started college. I think like I don't know. I put the name Juli in the US because it was supposed to be more of like a blog kind of account documenting my journey, and I guess it's still my journey since I moved here. It first started as content sharing of like, okay, this is how I'm moving to study in the United States as an Argentinian on TikTok, because I post like on TikTok, and I recently started posting on Instagram. And my brother, like, he's been telling me to post on Instagram, and I was like, okay, let's give it a go. And honestly, like, that's where I'm getting the most like people
That's
reaching
where I
out.
found you. Yeah, that's where I found you.
I'm so glad I started posting on Instagram, but it started being more of sharing my journey like that. And TikTok is mostly Latin American people because I post in Spanish. And then it was more of like through college. Okay, I'm prepping my physics exam the day before because physics is not my thing. And then people being like, okay, like update, did you pass, did you not, like, and things like that. And this is how I'm prepping like my organic chemistry talk and things like that. Once I started working, it became more of like cosmetic chemistry content, and so my content has evolved as my life changed, and I kind of like that. So yeah, I think I don't when I switched to Instagram, when I started posting on Instagram, I made a decision I don't want it confined only on STEM. So that's why it's like STEM, it's fashion, it's like, and I think we like, I'm so glad you reached out. I feel like from the name of like your podcast, your account, like we can relate in that.
Yeah.
We love the glam, we love the STEM, like
Yeah, you
come
can
on.
have a little bit of both in our industry. You get to be a little bit of, there's a lot of fashion intersection with what we do. Even if you think about how cosmetic science presents itself at Fashion Week and different products that are developed and launched in those same seasons. Like our launch seasons are pretty similar to fashion and following different trends. So it's definitely a nice combining of the two worlds. And I started the podcast just because I wanted to meet more people that were in STEM and more women that were in STEM and specifically cosmetic science. But the Glam Chemist came to me really randomly. I just thought of like how we do things, like everything we do is pretty glamorous and pretty grand. And then cosmetic science is just such a big part of what we do. I don't think people realize like every product you use is developed by a chemist or someone in science that has like developed that formula or that packaging or that design. So it's really cool to have those two worlds come together.
I think it's a statement too because it really challenges the what people think of when you say scientist. Like they picture the mad scientist, a guy, you know. They don't picture pretty. They don't picture, you know, glam or fashion even. I think a lot of people in social media, it pisses them off to see like a scientist that challenges what a scientist is supposed to look like. At least that's what I'm getting a lot in my in on Instagram specifically. I'm like, come on, relax.
That's so crazy. Yeah. I think because our industry is so small, but I've noticed that there's a lot more women joining the industry and a lot more women of color. Like a lot of Latinas are also joining. A lot of people are coming in that use the products and love the products and then they decide that they want to make the products. So it is interesting to see how people can like, have an issue with it, but that's so strange that you're getting that feedback. It's a
No,
weird
yeah,
world.
and
They
and
don't
it's
get to own science.
and it's actually insane because I used to have long hair. When I post with my long hair, I used to get a lot of hate on TikTok. when I got my bob, a lot of the hate comments went away. And then now that I'm growing my hair again, the issue is starting to come back. And there's something about like the nails or even like the makeup, it bothers people for some reason. Yeah, I don't know. It costs nothing to be kind, I think, especially in social media. But there's also some braveness that comes with like being like anonymous. I don't know. Say it to my face. Come on. I'm a fire sign. Like I'm gonna come for you.
Yeah. Also, what have you done? Like, what have you been up to? How dare you? What advice would you give to someone deciding to post on social media? Because you have been doing it for quite some time. What would you say to folks that maybe are like thinking of posting their journey or sharing their experience like you did?
Okay, be consistent. Like if you want to grow, be consistent. And honestly, don't care. Don't care what people are going to think. I feel like that's important. And I think that's what keeps a lot of people from posting in the first place. Like, oh, what is like people going to say about it? If you believe in your content and if you like what you create and if you have something that you think is worth sharing, go ahead and share it. And maybe you're like, oh no, but like, I don't know, nobody's gonna care. You have no idea. Like, there's so many people that would love to have your life or do what you are doing right now. Like, for real. Like, like, I think everyone has something valuable to share. I get so many DMs like all the time asking me how I got into like cosmetic science or like things like that. And I'm so happy to like answer, and I'm like still getting to all the messages because there's so many. So yeah, like if you can help someone else with your experience, why wouldn't you, you know? And even if it's like, I think like all the niches are like valuable, you know? Like if you're passionate about fashion, if you're passionate about like cooking, you know, nature, there's so many things you can like post about, like, and so many niches that like you wouldn't even imagine like they can work together. It doesn't have to be like a traditional one necessarily, you know?
Yeah,
But yeah,
just
social media
try.
is fun, but also be careful and don't like protect your privacy just because like you think content creators share everything. They don't. Yeah, don't be sharing your address and stuff.
Yeah. I actually really like that you said that. I've been struggling with being consistent with this podcast because of what you said, where like I do kind of, I keep thinking like what people are going to think of what I'm doing or what I'm posting. I don't know why. I'm all in my head about it. But like I'm going to take this advice now. That's usually what happens with these episodes is like the universe sends me what I need to hear every time I have a conversation with folks. So definitely motivated to do that because I've been struggling just like with that whole mentality of like thinking of other people when you make your choices, and you have to kind of lean on yourself and make your own choices and be okay with what is best for you instead of doing like what you're supposed to do or like what you're expected to do. So I really like that advice. Thank you for sharing it. What are you hoping that people take away from what you've shared and what you've learned?
I think like I want to share that there's room for everyone in the table, that science can be fun and accessible. Um, yeah, I think sometimes science is just like put like up there as something like extremely hard to understand. I The scientists I respect the most are the ones that are able to just break something like some complex topic into something simple for people to understand. I was organic chemistry tutor for a lot of like mostly all my college journey, and because I struggled with it so much while I was taking it, so I made it my mission to help people understand it. Like it is not an easy course, and that's why it's like a filter course. That's why a lot of people hate it, because you it's not like Gen Chem. It is not like you get a formula and you just plug in and get a result. You need to think abstractly, and that's what people struggle with. So that for me, I like the challenge. So we can, I don't know, like if we have to draw it in like the in the whiteboard, we can do it. If But everyone learns differently. So I guess like it's, yeah, showing that different people can be in STEM, not necessarily only like in the cosmetic industry, but like in STEM in general. I also want to like share like different experiences that I had, that good and bad, but I still move forward.
And what can you say of being like an international student? How has that experience been for you since it is different than most people? It's very unique.
It is a challenge. Being an international student, it is challenging. I left my home country at 18. I was very young, and I'm very close with my family. So honestly, I call with them every single day because I miss them terribly. But I'm also a very ambitious person. So I've been a dreamer since like I was a baby. I had this project since I was 11 years old, and I've been like, okay, like this is like what I want to do. Luckily, I have very supportive parents that they have always encouraged me and like not cut my wings. So here I am. What I'm gonna say is, being an international student, you were born somewhere else, so you see things differently. That, oh, of course, is gonna give you like a fresh view. You can think differently. You can come with like different, I guess, solution to problems, which is always a plus. You become a different kind of team player, and I love that, honestly. Of course, in STEM, like we love teamwork, and you need teamwork to get things done. A paper has so many authors. You need people in your team. You're gonna do nothing with one person. Even like, for example, one moisturizer, you probably have multiple people working on that. Because if, like, I don't know, your viscosity is off, like that one person is gonna be taking forever to figure out what's going on. And even we, like in our company, like when something doesn't work out, we talk among each other. Like we ask for feedback. So yeah. What else? Yeah, I mean, it's challenging. Yeah, that's what I can tell you. Being international student is challenging, but I don't regret it at all. I loved the experience of being an international student. And I'm so grateful of being able to have this opportunity and learn in our language. There's like something different about it. Again, I think my journey would have been like completely different if I haven't done it here
Yeah.
from like
And you're
experience.
representing, like you're representing your culture and you're adding to the industry because there aren't many of us, even being bilingual and being able to understand the two markets. You understand beauty in different spaces. We grew up with beauty in a different way. Some cultures use beauty and cosmetics in a completely different way, in a holistic way. So you have that perspective too. It is helpful to have the two worlds at the same time, and like having come from a different place and have a different perspective, like you said. So I appreciate your time and I appreciate you joining me and answering all of my questions. I do have one question that I ask all the guests at the end of the episode, and it's, what's the best piece of advice that you could give yourself given what you know now?
Well, I feel like I said it throughout, but I mean, it's never too late to change your mind, and like change direction if you're not happy where you are. Doesn't matter how far you are. I think nothing is worth it if you're not happy, but also don't be so hard on yourself. And that's even for me right now, because I'm so hard on myself. Give yourself some grace. Yeah, and I think that's applicable any period in time, especially in STEM. Like, we are so hard on ourselves all the time.
We take everything so seriously and put so much pressure on ourselves. I like what you said, where it's never too late to change your mind. Well, I appreciate you joining me. This has been great. Can you tell us a little bit about where to find you, what to look forward to, how to get in contact with you, and what to share?
Yes. So the one handle I use for both TikTok and Instagram is Juli in the US. So it's Juli in the US. That's like my content creation one. My personal one is JuliBurs, Juli Burs. If you want to know about my personal life, I post fun stuff in there too.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing and thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I love this.
Don't